Hello, welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to talk about what I experienced and why we decided to do Botox and kind of what we tried up until this point. And I don't know if it's working or not so far because it's been a week. It'll be a week tomorrow that I did the actual first treatment, and it can take at least like 2 weeks for the stuff to actually start working, and it can take multiple treatments for you to even know if it's working for you or not. Some people know straight away, some people it takes a while, so like it's just like everything else in life, it's not always the same for everybody. So I just wanted to like walk you through kind of my experience and what I felt and how it was and all that. I just like knowing what I'm in for, and I had done some research, not like a lot, but I do have some friends who had already done it, so we debated about it a lot, and they kind of told me what it was like, and I knew exactly what I was going into. My expectations were met, so like it hurt exactly, or like maybe less than I expected it to hurt, so it was great. And I heard pretty much good things about it. I heard that it wasn't super comfortable and that it was like kind of like not a that it was a little bit painful, and it was like a bunch of injections in your head, which, you know, isn't ever anybody's idea of like a good time. Or I don't know what you're into, but like it's not my idea of a good time. I'm sure that a lot of you do know what my diagnosis is, but like in case you're new here and you don't know, hi, I'm Olga, and I have fibromyalgia and also chronic migraines, which is the theme of this video. It's very common to have both. And it's very common for people with fibromyalgia to develop like migraines or headaches of some sort. Doesn't mean you have chronic migraines. That is when you have a specific type of headache for a specific type of time, which I do. So it depends, and there's like different kinds of chronic migraine and stuff. So if you suspect that you have it, then it would be very wise to go to a neurologist, specifically one that treats people with migraines and who is like a specialist in headaches and migraines. That's what I did. So yeah, I heard about this treatment and I was like, that's wild. I didn't realize that you could use Botox for anything other than cosmetic purposes. But turns out it is actually used for a lot of muscular illnesses and disorders. It's used for people who have a lot of sweating. I've heard. I have a friend who's had it on their bladder for medical reasons as well, and obviously it's a pretty popular, or like starting to be more popular, treatment for chronic migraines. Like I've had them for like 2 years, and we got the diagnosis like last year. I say we, but like I got that diagnosis last year, but I've probably had it for the last 2 years. We did a lot of testing. Then we switched all of my medication, so I don't take the same like emergency medication for pain that I used to. I take different like emergency medication for like a migraine and for physical pain, like if my back really hurts or if I'm having like a fibro flare, I'll have to take different medication. Whereas before I used to just take the one thing that worked for everything. We switched my like regular everyday medication. We worked on my sleep schedule, we worked on my like pacing and having better eating habits, like eating every 3 hours and not forgetting to eat, drinking more water and staying more hydrated. We worked on like realizing what my triggers were and avoiding those. After my medication was like settled and we were like on top of like my regular everyday preventatives, then we started playing around and like experimenting with other preventatives, like extra preventatives, because the one that I'm on currently isn't enough to prevent my migraines, I guess. But because I take it also for my other pain and for other situations, it does like, it's just better to be on that one, because the ones that I was on before did not make me feel good, and the side effects were really hindering just making me feel worse, and they were making my migraines worse. So obviously when you have chronic migraine, it does involve a lot of lifestyle changes and a lot of like sacrifices that you have to make, because you have to learn that you can't go outside in the sun without a hat, or you can't be, especially if you live somewhere like me where it's very hot, you can't be out in the heat if that's your trigger, or you can't be out in the cold if that's your trigger. Like, I have all of these rules that I have to live by because otherwise my migraines would be worse. So it's really challenging. But I think it also took us a while to realize what all my triggers were and what everything was that I was doing wrong that was maybe making them worse or making them last longer. And I didn't notice that with these changes, it wasn't that my migraines went away at all. I still have them, and I still have like a daily headache every day. But I noticed that when I did have migraines, they didn't last as long and they weren't as intense. So I thought it was helping a bit, and like, it's not like they're unhealthy habits. Anyway, so we then started trying a few medications. We tried one thing at a time, obviously. It just got to a point like where we were trying stuff and I started feeling really, really bad, and the side effects were starting to really catch up with me. I'm really sensitive to side effects of medication, so even when we were on like the lowest dosage, there was even one that we tried, the children's version, like, so the lowest dosage you can get, and still that gave me really bad side effects and no help at all. So it wasn't like the side effects were even worth it. So we decided to kind of scrape that and give me some time to recover from that, which is what we'd been doing the last like 2 or 3 months. So I stopped taking medication around May. I started feeling better straight away, but it did take a while for my body to kind of like get rid of all of those things. I just felt really unwell and just didn't feel like myself. And it took a while for my body to kind of get back to normal, but it has slowly got back. I still am on my like regular preventative that I've always been on since we started this whole journey. And basically we had run out of all of the options of the things that we could take or that were right for me. We had basically, at least in the view of my specific doctor and in my specific case, we had basically 3 options left. The first one was to do Botox treatment. The second one was to do, I think it's called antibody treatment, I'm not sure, but it is a monthly injection. And then we had the other thing that she suggested I tried, which I haven't tried yet. It is like a little machine, like a TENS machine, but for your brain. But it is a little bit of an investment, so we were kind of like, we don't know what to try first. It was very hard to find that machine. And my doctor kind of gave me a little time to think about it, and we would pick up in the next appointment. And that appointment was about a month ago, and that was when we decided to go the Botox route. The reason why I wanted to go the Botox route was because I have heard so many good things, and I have heard way more about that than I have about the other 2. So I thought that I felt more comfortable choosing that option, and it was something that my doctor had also talked about like extensively and explained to me, and I just wanted to try it because also it is the one with the least side effects. Basically, the worst that can happen is it doesn't work. The machine also basically has no side effects, but it can also be really uncomfortable apparently, and there are people who can never really get used to the sensation, and I was scared that I would be one of those people. Like, the worst part of it is the actual day of the injections, and I used to be scared of needles, but like, chronically ill people, we just kind of get over it because there's a lot of blood work involved and a lot of like weird medical things, and I can tell you that getting 30 injections in my head has not been the worst thing I've ever done medically, so it wasn't really that bad. And I decided that that was the one that I felt more drawn to, and I know this doesn't seem very scientific or very like, but I just felt that that was my answer, and that's the way that I wanted to go. I don't really have a huge justification for it. I just felt like that was what my body was telling me to do. And it went pretty good. Basically, the treatment itself is a few injections. It can be more or less depending on you, like your pain and kind of where you have more pain. For me, it was basically my forehead, here and here, temples, all around my head, like the actual skull, neck, and shoulders. The Botox treatment. The success rate of this treatment is 70%, which is quite high, but the term success means basically that you have at least a 50% reduction in your overall like headaches or like days with pain. So for me, that would mean that I would have, instead of like 5 or 6 migraines a month, I would have like 2 to 3, and instead of having headaches every day, I would have like headaches two weeks out of the month. It does mean that some people experience like 100% improvement and some people experience 30% or 40%, but it won't be deemed successful unless you experience at least 50% of improvement. Another thing is that you have to do at least 3 treatments to decide whether or not it was successful, because some people it takes a treatment or 2 to kind of start working, and the treatments are every 3 months. So I had the injections last week, and now I will have the next the next one in 3 months, and then 3 months after that. And then we will decide if it was successful or not, and if it was, then we can continue on with it, and if it wasn't, we will have to veer down another road. But if it does work, then you can either be doing this indefinitely or until you can space out the appointments more and more, and until eventually you don't need them anymore. Botox isn't like a silicone or a like chemical that, you know, is man-made. Botox is actually type of like enzyme, I think, that your brain secretes naturally, obviously in a much lower dosage. And when it is mixed up in a higher dosage and injected onto certain spots, it will basically create paralysis of that area, like those face muscles or that nerve or whatever. It also like fills up that space, so that's another reason why it can be used for like cosmetic purposes. So the procedure itself, the injections themselves are really quick, so it does hurt a little bit, and some places hurts more than others. I found that my shoulders were quite painful and the neck was quite painful, but other areas it was just kind of like a prick and a little bit of pressure, and then it was done. So it really wasn't that bad. I think like 20 minutes, the whole thing. I chatted the whole time because I'm a chatty Cathy. She also invited me to be part of a study that she's doing about this treatment, and about like, it's mostly about our expectations and then what the reality actually is. Something that you should consider if you're getting this treatment going in is that you should, if you have long hair or like, you know, you're not bald basically, you should wash your hair the night before or the day of. Like, so I washed my hair in the morning and then I went and had my appointment at like 12. Advisable that you don't wash your hair the following few days, because obviously everything is a little bit tender, and if you're going to be like doing this whole shebang in your head, you could move about the Botox, which could be dangerous, because if it drops off, it could actually like make your eyelids droop, and then you have to go and take it out, so that's not cool. You should take a hairband or something to put your hair up while you're actually getting the thing done. So that's something to keep in mind. If you have shorter hair, I guess you don't have to worry about that. I also didn't wear makeup. That's something that they also advise you not to do. And then during that week is really important to, or like I'm saying a week, but like I want to say like 4 or 5 days. During that time, it's really important to keep avoiding your triggers and to keep avoiding things that are painful and uncomfortable. So like today's the first day that I actually did any hairstyle. It was like actually painful or like uncomfortable to have my hair like very tight. So I basically wore it down or in a loose ponytail all week. I haven't washed my hair yet since the actual procedure, because I only wash my hair once a week anyway, so that's cool. The day of and the following day, I felt like my head was really uncomfortable, and I was really aware of the places where I'd been injected and the places that were like now had filling, I guess, because it felt like a little bit of pressure. Kind of like when there's a lot of cloudiness and you get that kind of pressure headache, like a little bit like that. So it felt a little bit uncomfortable, and like it was painful to touch those areas that had injections for the first like 2 or 3 days. But afterwards, like now, it feels fine. I don't feel like there's anything there. And then my doctor also advised me to kind of have a really chill day. So basically I watched movies and I just laid on the sofa, hung out with my dog, and just kind of had a really chill day. I treated myself to some food that I really liked and got some ice cream, and it was like we did a nice little day that was peaceful, and I got to watch just movies. I had a nap. Like, I just took it really easy during that week. If I wanted to sew, I did sew, and I did make some things, but mostly I took naps, I rested, I did really like slow activities. I didn't really do any housework because I was kind of preventing migraines. I felt that whenever I moved too much, like, I was also tired from my the weekend away, but I still like took my dog on his walks every day and did my normal life. I just tried to be a little bit more conscious about not being super active, because I do sometimes find that fatigue is a migraine trigger, so I was trying to avoid my triggers more than I normally do. I have noticed that in the last couple of days my headaches hasn't been as strong as they normally are, but that could just be because the weather is a little bit cooler, so it doesn't necessarily have to be because of that, but I do have really high hopes for this, and I'm really just very desperate for this thing to be the thing that works for me. So yeah, that's that. I hope that this video is a little bit helpful, and even if you're not a migraine sufferer, you can just, like, now you know something new about a treatment that you maybe didn't know about. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and if you did, please don't forget to leave it a like and a comment, and consider subscribing to my channel if you have not done that already. It would mean so much to me. You can also consider becoming a member on Patreon so that I can keep making videos. You can shop my Etsy store where I make all kinds of sewing stuff. If you're curious about any of those, I will leave links to that in the description. So that is everything that I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!